Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, What is Management Modernization and How to Get Started? My name is Stephanie Taylor, and I am your moderator for the afternoon. Thank you for bearing with us through the technical difficulties. We're thrilled to have you with us today as we delve into what modernizing looks like for your organization and how to get started using the tools you already have to unify your people, applications, and data on the Microsoft platform. Your speakers today are Mike Taylor and Bryan Quick. Mike is the founder and CEO of Innovative E, and he lives on the Space Coast of Florida. He began his career writing PPM software for NASA and has extensive experience as a PPM practitioner, community contributor and writer, process and app producer. Mike has recently released his book, The AI Project and Work Management Revolution is Here. Practical strategies for seizing this moment to become a higher performing organization with happier people. Bryan, who hails from the Jacksonville, Florida area, is a Microsoft alum of 7 years, having previously managed Microsoft project business for U.S. financial services and Midwest accounts. Bryan spent most of his career in IT project management leadership and has been with Innovative E for 4 years. Before we dive in, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. Today's webinar is being recorded. A link to the recording along with the slide deck will be sent to you via email within the next few days. You're free to review the content at your convenience or share it with colleagues who couldn't attend today. Please use the Q&A feature on the right side of your panel of this platform to ask questions. We will address as many questions as time allows. If you encounter any technical issues, such as audio or video problems, please use the chat function to notify us, and we'll do our best to assist you as quickly. With the housekeeping items out of the way, I'm pleased to hand over the floor to Mike Taylor and Bryan Quick. Mike and Bryan, the virtual stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. So, Bryan, thanks for being here with me today. We have a lot to catch up on. It's a big topic. It's been a while since we've done one of these, a couple months. I'm excited. Thanks for joining me.
Great to be here, Mike. I'm really excited to talk about this journey that we want to make everyone aware of to modernize on the Microsoft platform. So let's dive right in.
All right, we see the agenda there. It's pretty much what you guys saw in the abstract. It's what is project modernization. We're going to go in. We have a unique kind of view on that and why it's important. What are the keys to your journey? Understanding how AI bridges it. AI's got to be in every topic these days, right? Awareness about what the latest Microsoft project management tools are and what they're about. We'll actually do a little bit of a history there as well. And really how to leverage Microsoft Teams as being the hub of all project and work management. And then we'll have a Q&A. And at the end, we will have there's a book giveaway. My book is going to be available for all the attendees just for today. And there'll be a QR code for that. So let's dive right in. So a little bit about Innovative E. We are a Microsoft project partner, and we have been for many, many years. We are the reigning, Partner of the Year. And we are actually the 2023 Partner of the Year, Worldwide Partner of the Year. And we won many additional awards you see there at the bottom of the screen. So the first poll question we want to ask, and we're going to be interactive here. We got several polls set up for you guys, especially up front. So we're going to keep everybody on their toes here. What, in terms of your organization, do you feel your organization would benefit from better project alignment and outcomes? You strongly agree, really wouldn't make a difference, you disagree or strongly disagree. So I think the poll is going to be put up there. So if everybody would kindly answer the question and make your choice. We've got some polls coming in there, some answers. It looks like strongly agree. We don't see anybody saying disagree or strongly disagree. Right now it's, it looks like strongly agree is taking off. If this was a horse race, the strongly agree horse would be way out in front by several lengths.
Not a bad name for a horse.
Strongly agree. It would be a good name for a horse. Now that we're kind of through a lot of the, I guess we're 2 of the 3 of the Triple Crown, right? So, yeah, there we go. All right. Let's go ahead and close the poll. And it looks like about 61% said that strongly agree. And there was a big big agreement on agree, and I think only 1 or 2 votes on wouldn't make a difference. There was no disagree or strongly disagree. So not surprising. That was an easy one. Not that they're going to be hard anyway, but so everybody feels that their organization would benefit from better project alignment and outcomes. That's really not surprising. There's been a lot of studies, and there's this one that's from Steve Thornton from 2020. What makes a high-performing organization? So we'll go through that real quick. According to this report, it's really an organization that executes well against strategic objectives. And executing strategic objectives, and there's a lot of our audience, I'm sure, your project management professionals or practitioners or Scrum Masters and all that kind of stuff. You really projects are always a key driver of meeting strategic objectives. That's why projects happen most of the time, right? Organizations need to get something done for better customer service or compliance or something else. So it's really about, becoming better at executing against those strategic objectives. High-performing organizations outperform competition. That's, by definition, right? They're higher performing. An interesting piece that it comes out of that research, though, is that they also tend to have happier people. And we've experienced a lot of this, haven't we, Bryan? When we've seen, implementation of project management and PPM solutions that help align the what the stakeholders are going after and the project teams, where there might not have been alignment before around the goals. But it also, very importantly, is around, can you get this done, and why are you saying you might have a challenge resourcing or other challenges you might have to get something done? This alignment that's created tends to create happier people, I think.
Well, nobody wants to be part of a failing team. Everybody wants to be on the winning team, right? And when you know that the work that you're doing on a daily basis is a direct result in the success of your organization, it kind of makes you get up in the morning, doesn't it?
It sure does. All right, another poll. Told you I'm going to have some for you guys. So this question is really, projects are considered successful by all stakeholders in my organization by this percentage. So if you feel like it's 80% or more, choose number 1. If it's 60 to 79%, number 2, 40 to 60%, number 3, 20 to 40% or 39%, or no idea, or you don't want to say, which is a legitimate thing to say, right? So we've got some poll results coming in. Looks like a lot in the 80% plus. Some really good project managers out there. Some 60%, 40%.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sort of neck and neck between the 80 and 60% range, which is good. We have a lot of, I'm sure, project professionals here, so that's awesome to see these results. Looks like 60%.
What's interesting is the no idea or don't want to say. I mean, there's a lot of organizations and folks out there that aren't sure whether or not their projects are successful in every respect. And when a project gets done, that doesn't mean it was successful.
Right. Yeah, and the traditional measurements of the triple constraint on time, on budget, and on scope, those are more and more being kind of relegated to, yeah, that's important, but did it achieve certain objectives for the organization? And sometimes you might go a little over scope or over budget, or you may have different things that happen. But if you achieve those results, then you still can consider it a success. So kind of it goes both ways, right? All right, let's go ahead and close that poll. It looks like it was about 33%, 80%, and 60% was about 39%.
Right.
So
good information.
Yeah. Thanks for the feedback, everyone. And it was about 18% don't want to say. So you guys actually are better than what all the statistics say. So this is this came from the Standish Group last year, and it said that only about 35% of projects are considered successful, and that about 48 trillion worldwide are spent on project initiatives, which is a staggering sum of money if you think about it. And what they say there, you see the quote that the benefits of wasted resources on unrealized benefits of 65%, 30-something trillion dollars is really just mind-blowing. So you guys have done, or self-assessing is doing better than that, but it still looks like there's some room for improvement. Now, the interesting thing about this statistic is, if you go back and look several decades, it really hasn't changed very much. You go back 2 or 3 decades, it's 25 to 35% is about the best that the experts, that are doing these polls are coming up with in terms of what people are saying are successful project initiatives. So thanks for that. So we have one more poll, And then I promise we'll get to some other stuff, but I really wanted to get some input from everyone. So how many project and work management tools are in use at your organization? Would you say it's 6 or more? And by work management tool, it can be other things other than like Microsoft Project. It could be, you could be using, a lot of people use Excel and SharePoint and things like that. So digital tools that
Right.
you're using really to manage your project and work. So would you say it's, we should have the poll going here in a second. Looks like it's 6 or more is pretty high. 3 to 5 is pretty high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, think about all the different departments and what they may be using for project management purposes.
Right. Yeah, 3 to 5 is really starting to take away in our horse race here. 3 to 5 would be a good name for a horse too. All right. Looks like it's really pulled away. It's about almost 60% there. All right. Let's go ahead and close the poll. Looks like 6 or more was about 28%. 3 to 5 was 56%. About 9% with, 2, and then 1 was down around 2%. So that's not really surprising. Again, we have some research we'll share with you. Go ahead and close the poll. Thank you. And so really 92% of organizations in polls that we've done, and this is confirmed by other research as well, use multiple project and work management tool. I think I don't have the stat on this slide, but I think the average number reported, I believe this was a PMI survey, was 5.7 digital tools per organization is used. So you guys are right in line with kind of what the research is telling us. And so what this does, though, the output of this or the effect of this is that the project managers, we hear over and over again, and there's research that supports this, spends way too much time finding and aggregating data, which adversely affects the timeliness of the information to make effective decisions. And we feel that this is a core problem with project management and why we're not seeing higher success rates in project management. We really feel this is there are other things that are involved, and there's surveys that talk about different pieces of it, but we feel this is really one of the biggest pieces. So there's also a gap between the work and the systems that govern it. If you think about project management tools, they're all digital representations of tools, right? Of the actual work. So if you have a project for software development, you've got a bunch of coders over there coding. They're not coding in Microsoft Project or Jira or whatever, right? They're actually doing the work somewhere else. And then you have to move that data over for the project status. So that's a human effort to go actually put that data in. And humans are typically not very good at doing repetitive tasks. And as project managers, we've all been there. You've got maybe 6 projects to manage. You're in meetings back to back to back. By the end of the day, you've got all your meeting notes and everything. And you're trying to figure out, all right, what did it, at 8 o'clock this morning, what were my action items or what were the status things that I need to go now enter into the system? So the human disconnect is a piece of what we believe the problem is, as well as the proliferation of systems. And then we do believe that there is, and we're seeing more information about this, and it's, as is everywhere, AI and automation can create higher value where humans will be freed from doing a lot of this mundane work. And there's another study, which I didn't quote here, but it says that, I believe it was Gartner, said that by 2031, they believe that 80% of the current project management tasks will be automated with AI and automation. So that's a big number. At the same time, though, by the way, very interesting, they believe there's going to be 25 million new project management jobs. So it's kind of a paradox that there's going to be more automation, but also more project management jobs. Right, moving forward from there.
Can we get an amen on project managers are spending way too much time doing manual work? I'm sure there's a few of you out there that are feeling that. And that doesn't lend to happier people and higher performing organizations, does it? I mean, as PMs, we want to be doing the part of the job that we get hired for, which is leadership, negotiation, keeping the project risks under control, making sure the schedule management is being done, budget management. We don't want to be transcribing meeting minutes and trying to recopy over risks and issues into a log, or chasing data among different systems to try to aggregate that together into any sort of status reporting. So if any of you are feeling that, which I imagine that's the case, or if you're an executive in your company, or organization, and you're asking for that type of aggregated data, but you know the systems aren't connected, ask folks how much time they're spending trying to deliver that to you on a weekly basis. Thank you, Jennifer.
You had an amen there. Yeah, and further to that point, we have a graphic here which kind of illustrates it. So here's a little bit of, if you think about the evolution of project management over maybe the last 30 or 40 years, there's been this proliferation of tools, right? It's going back to, I think Microsoft Project was one of the very first tools on the desktop from the mid 80s, 85, 87. And then there's been a proliferation of additional tools. And then as you move to the right there, you see more of the modern, what you'd consider modern, are more born in the cloud solutions like Monday and Asana and Wrike and ClickUp and all those. And we put a little footnote there at the bottom. Microsoft, because it's grown up over time, it started with Microsoft Project, actually has at least six, we'll talk about those in a second, different types of project and work management applications that are apps that are out there. Then you also have this proliferation of methodologies that have developed around trying to manage the work in better ways. And there's different, of course, you've got traditional waterfall, you've got Agile, you've got Kanban, you've got, Wagile and all the different variations of it, and hybrid, and these different areas where people have developed really detailed methodologies to really try to help with the successful outcome of different types of work. And then you also have obviously things like the proliferation of certifications and the PM Project Management Institute, which was built in the 60s. And then really in the last few years has really come on with really the acceleration of the number of project management professionals and Agile certified professionals and all those that have been done. But you also have curriculum from all kinds of colleges, Carnegie, Georgia Tech. There's all kinds of master's programs in project and program management and things like that have come on. And then you also have a lot of things that have built up within organizations around, they're PMO led or, maybe it's some kind of process led initiatives around here's the way we manage our work and our projects and things like that. So all kinds of curriculums have grown up over time. But this has really been a proliferation of everything, right? It's all the above. And what we really see happening is that it really is kind of keeping that status quo of success, because you have kind of a counteracting effect. On the one hand, you have, the benefit of adding the new tools, maybe methodologies, but the counter to that is now you have more, and we just talked about this a few minutes ago. Most of you guys, I think around 80 or 90% said you have multiple tools and methodologies in your organization. So you create more overhead and further segmentation of the people and data by adding all this in there. So the net effect is we project and work managers out there aren't really moving the needle that much. So we feel like, again, that disconnect between the people, apps, and data is really at the core of being able to solve for this problem. So now we're going to do a technology update, because we promised you we would in the abstract. So for those who are, we're very Microsoft centric, obviously, and there's been a lot that's happened in the Microsoft ecosystem over many years. So I'm going to turn it over to Bryan to talk a little bit about kind of the Microsoft family of products.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. So a lot of you on the call today are probably using some of these things already. And whether you are or not, we'd like to give you a little bit of an overview of kind of the landscape here. So obviously, you've got Microsoft Project on the desktop, and that's for mainly professional project managers. Many of you may be using that. Some of you may be using that in concert with a project server, which is in your data center. Some of you may be using the desktop in concert with Project Online, which is in the Microsoft Cloud, hosted in your Microsoft 365 cloud ecosystem. And at the same time, we have Microsoft Planner, which is for simple task management, and then something called Project for the Web, which is a new tool, which is not related to the desktop, server, or online, but it's a born in the cloud, easier tool to use. It's got a lot of really neat new functionality within that, but it doesn't have the robust capabilities of a desktop application. You also have Microsoft To Do, which is a to-do list. You could put things in your to-do list from your Outlook tasks, things that are assigned to you in Planner, they go to your to-do list. And then, Mike, I noticed you put a little ADO logo on there. A lot of you are using, a lot of you are using Azure DevOps for project management or for your Agile aspects of project management. So this in itself is a proliferation of tools. Even if you're like a Microsoft shop or you're using these tools, chances are they're disconnected from one another. They're not something that you're using in concert with one another, and you're still chasing data around between them. So what does that all mean with Microsoft To Do and Planner and Project for the Web? Well, you probably heard that Microsoft Project for the Web is becoming part of Microsoft Planner and will be referred to going forward as Microsoft Planner with premium features. And that means that in your Planner app in Teams, you're going to have tasks potentially from Planner and the former Microsoft Project for the Web in one place, in the same place. We're very excited about that. And that means your to-do tasks, your planner tasks, and your potentially project tasks could be in one screen for all of your team members to participate on. And they're rebranding Planner and Planner with premium features to have a new logo. You probably heard the announcement that came out recently. Mike and I and Innovative V are part of a Microsoft Planner partner community where we meet with Microsoft almost maybe a couple of times a week now.
Yeah, it's frequent.
And it's been great. There's a really high level of energy behind the tool. There's a lot of innovation going on behind the tool. So it's definitely a cool experience for everybody. And we have the direct line in there. So we're able to express our opinions about the way that we see the project or the Planner product evolving, and they're listening. So what it's meant to be is a simple tool to manage all your work in one place. It's meant to be flexible so that you can work the way you want, meaning that it has a waterfall option as well as a Kanban option or a sprint planning option. It's scalable so that you can power your largest project plans, and it can do that all in the browser or in Teams, which is exciting because then it's completely shareable with your community. And it works with AI. And we're going to talk a lot more about that. You see the little Copilot logo, which is a Venn diagram over the Planner logo there. And what it does is, this is coming out very soon. If you have those capabilities within your company, you'll be able to align Copilot directly with Planner. And we're going to show you a brief demonstration of that shortly.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Bryan. Yeah, and just for more context, and I thought about putting a survey in to find out how many people have Copilot. We're asking some folks who are in the know, and it seems like there's about 1 in 5 organization of that are already Office and Teams users and that might have a Copilot capability. So Copilot actually cuts across multiple applications. Just to be clear, it's actually it's a derivative of, or they've infused capabilities of like ChatGPT into these applications. So you have Copilots for many different applications in Microsoft. So you'll have them for Teams, you'll have them for your Office apps, for Word, Excel, PowerPoint. The Copilots are pretty cool in playing with how to develop things. You know, you can give it, here's what I want you to do, build me a new PowerPoint deck or whatever. But it also is going to be infused into, and it is infused into things like the Power Automate platform, Power Platform, and it's going to be infused into, as Bryan was saying, the new Planner with premium features. So what we'll show you next is, this is a preview, and it's a really short preview. I had to turn the audio off, so we'll just play this video and talk through what it's doing. But this is actually Microsoft Planner with premium features. It would, as Bryan was saying, it has, you can see that you've got a grid view, a board view, and a timeline view. The timeline would look like a Gantt chart for those who are familiar with doing Gantt charts. But what this Copilot is going to show you is just a real quick example. And I'll hit play here. I actually took this from a video that's available on the Microsoft YouTube station, or YouTube channel. And it's going to show you how you can go in and say, you click the premium there, and it's going to say, you know, you want to start tracking or creating a plan and naming it product launch. And it's going to go in, and AI is going to help you go in. They click on Copilot there, and the Copilot will always be on the right side there. You'll see more. We'll do more in a minute. And it's going to add, actually create a plan for you. So this is generative AI creating a plan in Planner with premium features. Then
and it's going to sort of learn what kind of plans you usually create a plan that's applicable to that specific purpose. And then you can refine it from there and just keep working with the generative AI features to fully refine the plan. And so this is going to be available to you guys if you use Planner with premium features.
Right. So that's just a very brief overview of that. Oops, let me get into the next one. So now we're going to talk a little bit about a new approach to project management modernization. And again, you'll hear us keep saying, becoming a higher performing organization with happier people. So this is a really interesting slide. It's got a lot on it, but Teams usage is skyrocketing, right, Bryan? I mean, just the number of organizations out there. I think that organizations are closer to 1 million now, over 300 million users. And what you always like to say is it's where work's getting done anyway. If you're a Microsoft shop and you've got Teams, you're probably using it quite a bit for meetings and artifact management, things like that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody is getting on this bandwagon, and of course, it's a logical conclusion that you're going to want to manage projects within Teams as well. You're probably already trying to do that. We're going to show you some ideas on how to really maximize that today.
Yeah, one of the things that's interesting, Bryan, you've said this a bunch of times, is with many of the other applications, you pick on something like Project Online or Project Server. It was a great product, but it was developed over many years, and collaboration was almost an afterthought. But they baked it into the project or into the product, right? But it really wasn't centralized in a central area where all the work's happening. So if you think about all these other tools that are cropping up everywhere, and we've talked about them, all the born in the cloud and everything else, they all have their own collaboration area as well. But what if we brought it all together within Teams? Because if you do that, you can start to go down a couple layers, and not to get too detailed in the technology piece, but Teams is part of the modern Microsoft platform. And the whole platform has been re-architected going back about 5 years ago. And the way that you'll hear Microsoft talk about it, Satya and all the folks, the high-level management, is it's a platform for this generation, 20 or 30 years at least. This is not a one and done kind of thing. It's like everything is being built. All their core products, you look at Planner with premium features, that is actually a first-party product built in the Power Platform. So Power Platform is where they're building their products, but it's also where you can extend products and things to do a lot more with, because they've made it very usable to take advantage of their low code, no code, which is the Power Platform, and all the AI is baked in. So they have multiple AI types of capabilities. Everybody knows about ChatGPT, but there's also Azure AI and things like that are built into the platform. So the more you use the platform, the more capabilities you have that are built right there. They're already available to you. You don't have to go do anything else. And so that makes it really compelling to start to bring things together into that unified platform.
The game has changed, Mike. The game has changed. So you said it right. Whereas before you would choose a project management system based on whether it could check all these boxes with your project management needs that you're probably making a list of. And then collaboration would be like a thing that it does, right? And there were collaboration aspects of legacy project portfolio management tools that they were trying to enable you to leverage that system to get the work done. But what really happened was those systems became a destination for the project manager and management to go learn about what's happening on the projects. And they really didn't ever come to fruition as a place where the team would collaborate.
Right.
And even, with the tools that Microsoft had in the past when they were based on SharePoint, like Project Server and Project Online, there were challenges with getting folks to go there and review the project schedule, participate on their tasks, mark their timesheets, and things like that, because it was viewed as the project manager's system. So to the extent that we can take project management and still gather all the data that we need to gather, still centralize and govern the process, but do it in the collaboration system that you're already using to get work done, then that becomes a game-changing paradigm shift in the way projects are managed within organizations. That's what we're here to talk to you about.
Absolutely. Thanks, Bryan. And so One of the things that's interesting here is, and we pulled this from, this is a report that Microsoft did. You see in the lower left, it's from a work trend. They always hire third-party analysts to go do this work, but it's super interesting. This just came out. 75% of people are already using AI at work. A lot of people are bring your own AI, kind of like the old bring your own device in the past, bring your own AI. But 46% started using it less than 6 months ago. So the adoption of AI is happening really quickly. Now, organizations aren't necessarily adopting it as fast. You may or may not have it in your tenant. Like you might not have Copilot yet. You may be going out and using third-party tools like GPT, or there's a million others that are out there. But people are using it already. So what we're saying here is people are already kind of scooping up that low-hanging fruit that you can do with automation. They're doing it in basically ad hoc and unstructured ways, but they're taking advantage of it, which is good. But there's so much more that can be done. One of the things here, and this is to tee up the next short demo we have, is this is a stat from the same report. The top 5% of Microsoft Teams users are reporting that they're saving 8 hours a week summarizing meetings with Microsoft Copilot. Can you think about, as a project manager, if you're managing
8
6
hours a week? That's
you're saying
entire
a whole
workday.
day. Exactly.
Yeah.
That is just a stunning statistic right there. And that's just by using Copilot for Teams. So that's actually the next demo. And this is just a short demo to show you. And I apologize for the quality. In the lower right here is where you're going to see the prompting and things that go on. This is a screen cap of a meeting we did. This again is using Microsoft Teams and the Teams Copilot. So it's not the Copilot we showed before, it's this Teams Copilot. But think about, now you've got all the projects being managed in Teams, like we're talking about, and now you're doing a status meeting. And what you can do is you can have, after the end of the meeting, you see this little recap is pushed here. This little, it's highlighted, this button is pushed, and there's a transcript, and you can actually tell Copilot, go read the transcript. And so it says down here in the lower right, what was the purpose of this meeting? And Copilot will go rationalize over it and say, this is what I feel the purpose was. So it summarizes it. Then we ask about action items. So we say, what were the action items for this meeting? And then Copilot will go read it, and it will determine what it thinks are the action items and who it thinks they're assigned to, which is pretty cool. So I see I got a couple action items there. Emily got some, Matt got some. And then we'll ask, are there any issues? And for those who've used generative AI, you can ask the questions differently. Your prompt engineering, were there any issues discussed? And again, it will come up with some issues. So this is just a real quick way to show kind of what Copilot can do, or AI can do. And this is something that can be bought just as an add-on for your Microsoft Office product. The reason it's interesting is because it's in the Teams construct. So again, if you're doing everything within the Teams construct.
And I just want to also point out, when we talk about the platform, we're talking about the use of Teams. We're talking about various scheduling tools that are at your disposal, but also the ability to build out your specific processes using the Power Platform, like Mike mentioned. And all those experiences can happen right inside of Microsoft Teams. You never have to leave the actual Teams interface and UI.
Yep. And Bryan's going to show in a few minutes, actually, we've taken this and we have an app that we've built on top of Teams. But if you didn't have the app, you still can do a lot of this stuff. You can take Teams, you can standardize your template for exactly how to use those team sites, regardless, I guess is the right way to say it, of the underlying project scheduling tool, and just enforce that everyone's going to be using Teams for the collaboration aspects. So, and what that does is, by applying governance, it starts to save time, right? Because everybody knows that it's all going to be the same way. You're not going to 6 different apps with 6 different collaboration capabilities and having to learn 6 apps. You already know how to use Teams, so you're just using Teams in a consistent way across all your projects, independent of the execution tool. So that makes it a lot easier. So you start to save time just by familiarity, and everybody you bring into the a project team member or whoever, they're all going to say, yeah, I know this is Teams. I get it. I know where to go for the files or the chat or whatever. This organization starts to create a framework, and it's an information architecture basically that you're building by enforcing consistency, that now you can use it. It's almost like its own database. You can use it for automation and AI at the collaboration level, because now you know where all the team minutes are. You know where all the issues or all the risks are if you're using standard lists and things within those sites. So the standardization creates an organization that becomes almost like a living database at that collaboration level. So that's very powerful. And then you can do all those things applying AI and automation and all that kind of stuff. And you can work across multiple tools like we talked about. So it's really powerful, and it really changes the paradigm. So now we'll introduce teams for PM. So Bryan, maybe you can take us through a little bit about what we've actually built here to take that concept and automate it.
Yeah, Mike. So we've built an accelerator for getting all these things done. It's basically gone and done the work for you. So whereas in the previous slide, you could, make policies and put certain scenarios into effect where a project manager would create a team and a channel, and you would save all your files here, and they would have a certain list for issues and a certain list for risks and so forth and so on. You can enforce that, through just your policy or your way of doing things. What we've done here is provided a governance model for using teams that actually automates a lot of those processes even further. So you're not only saving time using all the features of Copilot and Teams, but you're also automating the Teams channel creation process itself. You're governing the use of Teams so that it has certain ways of capturing data that are uniform across all projects. You're not relying on your project managers to create a consistent experience. It's already done. It creates a common data set for all enterprise work, and it allows you to use different tools in order to create that data set, as far as for the scheduling is concerned. And then what it does here is basically puts you at a level where on day one, once this is installed, you're already like 10 steps ahead of where you would be otherwise. And where your maybe competitors are. And it does this by providing a way of minimal disruption to what you're doing today. So it's like an evolution of what you're already doing. Some of you may be dabbling with Project for the Web or Planner. Some of you may be in Project Online or Project Server, or even using other non-Microsoft tools. We'll just take that and we'll run with it. We'll evolve it. We'll bring all that stuff into Teams. And so you don't have to say, like in the old days, okay, everybody's got to do things a uniform way. Then we all got to use this. We all got to use this one tool. And then you have adoption issues. Not everybody's on board. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, go ahead and stay in your collaboration space. It's okay. We're going to bring project management to you. We're going to bring it to the people, bring it to the masses. It's like a democratization of project management.
Absolutely. Project and work management, right? Because traditionally project management and PPM solutions have been in the high maturity areas of an organization like IT, engineering, software development, those kinds of areas. But that only represents maybe 10, 15% of all of the information workers in an organization. A lot of people are in other departments doing things that may or may not be related to this work. And you have no visibility into it, really, not at the enterprise level. So you really can start to bring all this together and include all those folks as they need to be included in these initiatives. Maybe you need to have somebody from marketing or finance or HR or something that needs to be involved in an initiative, and they can be involved now because it's all in Teams. They may or may not even have to be involved with the project execution tool because they could just be the project manager.
And here's the great part, Mike. I mean, Teams for PM kind of gets you to a point where you're already making an impact on winnable wins and day one. But it has almost an endless capability of being tuned and tailored to your specific business processes and needs, like for workflow, approvals, reporting, because we're not creating our own reporting solution. We're not creating our own workflow solution. It's not some third-party workflow. No, we're using the Microsoft Enterprise capabilities that you already have, that you already probably are licensed for. And we're going to build out those experiences inside Teams. That's the amazing thing about what Microsoft's doing is the Power Platform. It manifests inside of Microsoft Teams. So you can just stay there. And that's what we're intending to do is accelerate the process for you, but we're not trying to pigeonhole you into something that, you have to do it our way.
Right. And solve a lot of those problems that were previously unsolvable, especially across
Mm.
applications and across data sets. So this is kind of a visual representation of what we're talking about now. So now we've replaced just the generic teams with the teams for PM. And so all those things like Bryan was talking about are all automated there. So in the interest of time, I want to move forward a little bit, Bryan, and let you, because I know you wanted to run a demo here of teams for
Sure.
PM. So let's do that. Let's put that demo on main stage, and maybe you could show everybody a little bit about what it does. Again, this won't
Sure,
be
absolutely.
comprehensive.
I'd be happy to. So what you see on my screen here, and Mike, can you just confirm that everybody can see it?
I see it. Yep.
Okay. What you see on my screen here is Microsoft Teams, but I'm looking at a Microsoft project online, and Microsoft project from the desktop was published to project online. I'm looking at that in the Teams channel in a tab. You may be managing your project that way. If you are, then what Teams for PM does is it automatically creates this channel under the right program. It provides the out-of-the-box project status reports that you need, the visibility that your team needs to your project schedule. So you can see how this could really meet you where you are today. Let's say you're using Project or Project Online, but you just want to bring it into Teams. Great, let's do it. You've got your project status report here that we've pre-created in Power BI. No more manual status reports. No more manual status reports, please. And then we've got a project details tab that the PM can go to in order to report up on what's going on to management. And that app basically will have your red, yellow, green indicators. It's always right there in Teams as another tab for you. So you can always find it very easily. And nobody else can access it except for the PM. And so what you're going to see on the screen here is basically all the details about the project. Why are you doing it? What's the project description? What is the data that's driving the reporting? So you see here department alignment, portfolio alignment, phase alignment, estimated cost, priority level, cost health, risk health, schedule, and overall health. What you also see here is ability to staff the project based on a project team and a resource pool. We have some resource management and capacity planning capabilities here as well, all within Microsoft Teams that helps you align your team with the right phase of the project and kind of ramp up their involvement. And it's all right here at your easy to use and right at your disposal. You've got risk management as well as issue management, lessons learned. You've got an actions log, or maybe even want a decisions log or a change log. The best part about that is it's all uniform across all of the projects, and all that gets saved as organizational data so that you have a database that you can report from. In order to get started with one of these projects, you may have a workflow, and we talked about how highly customizable that workflow could be. You may have a project request form that's right here that you want to complete as part of your workflow. You may have some approval processes. Whatever the case may be, we can get you started with an out-of-the-box version just for starters, and we can build you out from there. What that looks like is really determined by you, like what are your criteria. From there, hitting submit actually creates the channel in the right place for you automatically. Let's say that you created an artificial intelligence project and you put it through the approvals. All of these tabs would already be there within a minute or two of hitting submit. And you're ready to go. You're off and running. And so people are collaborating, they're posting, they're finding out like what's going on with these projects. And they're using different project scheduling tools to do that. They may be using, like we said, Project for the Web, which is going to be named Planner Premium, and then maybe using Project Online, maybe just Planner, maybe a third-party tool. But regardless of that, you have it right here at your disposal within Teams, as well as all the other data that's aligned with it. And so you can also collaborate on these projects directly. Let's just try a different one. You know, these live demos. You can always collaborate on these projects directly and post different information and different, like memes and stuff about the project here. And when you do that, that project is that chat information is actually saved as is organizational data on the project that we can point AI to. So you can start using AI today. You don't have to wait until your organization overall adopts it. It's part of the Teamster PM Accelerator. And what it does is it provides a project sentiment and positivity scoring analysis. So when this chart paints on the screen, you're going to see how this project relates as far as positivity scoring according to the rest of the projects. What's actually happening there is AI is reading the posts that are associated with the project, and they're saying whether or not the tone of the post is actually positive or negative. I want to also show you some high-level reporting and dashboarding capabilities. Now that we're creating a data set and bringing it all together, we have amazing capabilities within Power BI, of course, which you probably already use or own, in order to bring dashboards like this, interactive dashboards like this, up to your executives, which are completely automated. The only manual work that's going into this at all is the project manager just going into that details tab and filling out some information. Some of that can even be automated if you have different KPIs that are based on calculations, then you can even automate it further. But now you can see all the risks that are happening in the organization. You can see the risk matrix that's going on in the organization. You can even have a report based on the resource alignment of all of your projects. And again, this is regardless of what you're using to schedule these things. So in the past, we used to say, oh, if you want resource management, you got to use the same scheduler across the board, or else it's not possible. You got to use the same methodology across the board, unless it's not possible. That is not true anymore. So the way that we are approaching this is we're providing resource plans that are skill-based and phase-based, and they're separate from the actual schedule data that's happening on a daily basis. So they do need to be maintained by the project manager, but it's really the best way to do it across tool sets. So you can see that Bryan is a project manager, has a project management skill set and is staffed to these two different projects, but he's way overbooked in the coming months. And so that's just a little taste of what's possible with Teamster PM. And what's possible in the platform. Again, a lot of this is automated. It's done for you. If you want, you have some folks in-house with Power Platform skill sets, they could try to create something like this. The fact of the matter is that we've already done it for you, and you can leverage that as a subscription as well. Now, part of your journey may be kind of steps toward this. It's okay. We're here to help you in any part of your journey. Let's say you just want to get project on the desktop into online, and that's maybe your first step. Or let's say that you want to explore taking what's going on in Monday.com or Jira or ADO and project and kind of put it all together into one common experience. We're here to help you with any of that. And basically what I also wanted to explain is, as you're collaborating on these things, this is how it really, we bring it home within Microsoft Teams, is there's rich collaboration alongside all these tools. And even if you're collaborating on an individual task, for example, you have the ability to chat about that task itself and collaborate as a team. This is something that is that's the game changer here, folks, is that it's bringing this into a collaborative space. So people are actually going here to get the work done. I mean, and they're talking about the work right here. They're attaching a document to the task right here that needs to be completed in order to complete this task. So they're actually doing the work in the project schedule, as opposed to having the project manager go ahead and update the schedule for them, and it's always out of date, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So if you're living in that world today, it's we want to get you started on your modernization journey. We want to turn you on to these things, how you can actually leverage the systems that you already have in place, not buy another tool, and start doing this today.
Yep. Awesome. Thanks, Bryan. Yeah, and that consolidated report, and of course there's a lot you can show and a lot more that you didn't even have time for, but that consolidated report's pretty cool too, because it shows, independent of what the execution tool, everything is all in one place. And you can actually see which tool it was that is managing which project or whatever. So all right, let's move forward. We're getting a little short on time. We had a little bit of a stutter start there with the echo problem. So we just have a few slides left. So starting your modernization journey, how do you optimize, kind of like to the platform and beyond? Sounds like a movie.
Yeah.
So what this, for those who've done a lot of like IT related projects, this is probably a pretty common type of visualization of what you're looking at doing to build what we call value points. So you can build value over time. You have tangible and intangible values, and we have examples down the right side, and it can be all kinds of, whatever is important to your organization. But things like harmonizing, we've talked a lot about that, management across work tools, holistic view of all the work, becoming a higher performing organization because you're doing these things. Strategic alignment, skipping down towards the bottom, making better project manager leaders. Bryan alluded to that at the top. If you're taking away a lot of the day-to-day mundane task and you're allowing people to do more of the humanistic stuff, increasing the project team well-being because people are getting along better because they're managing projects and they're all on the same page. Streamline resource management, skilling. There's all kinds, and this list can go on and on and on. The important thing is that we really believe that this journey starts with this platform optimization. This is the gateway to the rest of the value points. So when you think about it, it's not buying another tool; it's optimizing the platform that's in place for this journey for the future. And so we told you that we would also give you some ideas of how you get started. So really, here's a model for how you can modernize your journey. So this is, use teams in the platform. We talked about that to bring the building blocks together. Embrace that the journey is evolutionary. It's going to be an evolutionary journey, but you can start with something that's, pretty simplistic because people already understand a lot of the interface and things that are associated with teams. Build and follow a strategy. One thing that we really recommend, and you'll see this in some of the folks who are really talking about automation, especially in the AI space, is really look at the things that are tackle smaller operational challenges first. Don't necessarily try to go big and solve everything. Go with these operational challenges like meeting minutes and issues and risk management and things like that will start to free up time, and then that can have a substantial impact over time, and you can build a larger strategy on that. Definitely build a roadmap though, like we showed in the previous slide. And then the graphic on the right is just a standard sort of approach. It's sort of an approach towards any solution or enterprise application. And these tend to become enterprise applications. Plan for it, build your business case and get your budget. Build your first iteration. Maybe that first iteration is getting this optimization in place, and then maybe a few value points. You need to go after some resource management or pulling things together in a specific kind of intake or workflow, whatever those value points are. Then look at grow. When really that's, your sustain, your adoption, and your enhancement. And then you see those arrows going back, and that can be, when you're in the build phase, you could say, well, we've uncovered something that's really important we want to do. We need our stakeholders involved. It's big enough that it's not going to be a small enhancement, but it's going to require like a new business case. You go back to the plan. So, this becomes an iterative cycle. On the far end to the right, what we see is customers who really start to optimize this over time. It starts to look a lot like you see maximize via ALM. That means application lifecycle management. You start to treat it like an application, like an enterprise application. So you really build your techniques and team around that instead of going after one piece of work at a time. So this is almost like a master class in in how you do IT management or solution management and app management, but it's just the very surface of it. But we can help you with that and talk more through that. So there's a lot of folks already doing this. So you might ask, have you guys done this? Yes, we've actually been dealing with several of these customers and many more for many years doing this. I think we're in our third year of doing the optimization, and Teams for PM is being a big part of that with several of these customers. So you can see there's some case studies there. So we encourage you to go and look at that. And I'm going really fast here because we're running short on time. Microsoft says this right on there. This is the internal page for us partners in the cloud AI program. And I wanted to show you this because it actually says limitless is the new standard. And that's super exciting to be able to solve problems in project management we could never solve before collectively. So this is a new era. And if you think about this new, approach it with this new approach and new paradigm of the kind of collaboration and platform first, you really can get, there's nothing that can't be solved. So it's super exciting. So with that, promised you a free book. If you scan that code, I'm going to leave it on here for a minute, and then you guys will get this as well, and you can scan it. But remember, it's only for today. So if you want to take advantage of it, it's up until midnight Pacific time tonight. That it's available on Amazon for our webinar attendees. So feel free to go grab a digital ebook and let me know.
And
How
available as an audiobook.
It's also available as an audiobook, but only the ebook is free on this promotion. So
Thank you. Oh, okay.
yeah,
Well,
and it's also available in paperback, but I can't make that free. They don't let me do that. So it's Kindle's rules. But yeah, so feel free. Love to get some feedback on that, and we'd love to stay in touch. I know I'm going to go to the next slide, which is our contact information, but also take a quick look. I don't know, Bryan, if you've seen any questions that have been submitted.
yeah, if you guys have questions, please go ahead and enter them into the chat. We'll try to get to them.
There's actually a Q&A tab. Yeah.
Q&A. Yeah. In the Q&A area.
There's a couple of questions, and we're going to keep going. If anybody needs to drop, I understand it's top of the hour. But we're going to go for a couple more minutes and answer a few of these questions. So,
all right.
Does Copilot require meetings be recorded with a transcription to be able to work? Yes. For that to happen, it's actually reading the meeting minutes is what the Copilot's doing in that case. How to access Copilot from Teams? Do you need a pro account? You need it would depend on your licensing there. And I don't know if you know anything more on that, Bryan, but you would have to have a Copilot license. It is an add-on SKU.
Yeah, I think they're going to make Copilot available within a Project Plan 5 license subscription as well, even if you don't have it otherwise. So look out for that.
Right. Can Teams for PM be brought on site? Much of our stuff is not allowed to be put on the public internet. At the current point, this is a complicated answer, but I'll try to make it fairly simple. None of the data leaves your tenant. All your data is in your 365 tenant. However, Teams for PM is a provider hosted solution. So it lives in the public cloud, in a public cloud tenant, which we purchased from Microsoft. So at present, it can't be made into a pure on-premise solution. Let's see. Any other?
Will this new approach include integration with tools like Motion AI and Claim AI? Not at this time. That's not in the plan. So this is a Microsoft's platform-centric solution, Deborah. What is the best methodology for a leader managing a group of developers to create a minimum viable product using AI? Should you use Agile, Scrum, or STL?
Oh boy, I think that's a big depends.
I would say anything iterative would probably be a good approach. Get an MVP out there, and then talk about it with your product owner and your stakeholders, and continue to iterate on it.
Right.
Does Microsoft Power BI factor into the suite of tools, Chris? Yes, must have been asked before we got to that point. Absolutely. There is also a project management feature in Microsoft Teams. Where does it stand among Microsoft tools? Well, I think that might be alluding to the point that there's a lot of different apps in Teams that you can download and use in that environment. And that, frankly, only adds to the proliferation and disconnection of data. So with the approach that we're talking about, there would be a kind of designated set of tools that would be available in the solution to capture data centrally for reporting purposes. And it's not kind of the Wild West.
Right.
And then I know, Stephanie kind of reposted in the QA that, Mike Knoll commented that no one tool handles predictive and adaptive methodologies, or hybrid for that matter, very well. We couldn't agree more. Let's not use one tool, and we're not going to standardize on one. We're going to connect tools together using the Teams-based approach.
A couple more are down at the bottom. Is there a project client or Mac for the recommendation use online? Unfortunately, no. And that's a Microsoft thing. They have never made a project client for Mac. So
yeah, but you don't need a project client anymore to do a lot of this stuff. So a lot of this stuff is completely Teams-based and web-based, and it would work in Safari or the Teams client, or in the Teams in Safari browser, just the same. You wouldn't be able to use the desktop version of Project, but that's only one scheduling possibility here. So I would say that there's a lot of good use cases for Mac in the scenarios we're talking about.
Right. PDUs for the webinar, not directly. We used to be a REP, registered education provider, but we just didn't have that much traction with it. So you can claim PDUs as self-directed learning on this. I do I'm up for my PDU cycle this year, so I got to start gathering mine too. Do you have any plans for Slack integrations with Salesforce? Not at this time, unfortunately.
Slack was kind of first to market in this regard with the enterprise collaboration and kind of changing that paradigm. Microsoft came in after that and added Teams, and I think they've knocked it out of the park there. So we're concentrating in that area. There's a lot of folks out there using Teams. Wayne, are EPM and PPM in Planner now or where? Well, Wayne, Planner with premium features is going to have some project management advanced capabilities in there. It doesn't really have a portfolio planning or a resource planning mechanism. That's where our Teams for PM Accelerator comes into play. So we'd love to talk to you about that and what it could mean for your organization. Is the budgeting feature on par with Planisware? I don't know. Not sure. Wayne, let's talk about it some more. So you have our contact information on the screen. I think the advantages that we're talking about here, Wayne, are that it's completely involved with using Microsoft Teams and all those capabilities. There might be something that Planisware does that this doesn't do, but let's dig in.
And somebody asked, can a task be linked with project online between projects? They can be. It's not really a best practice. We've seen customers do it. There actually used to be a task linker tool that was out there by one of our partners, but that you could track them. But the problem is it gets really easy to lose track of where you're linking things together. So we really would like to understand, if we were working with you, what that use case is, and then is there a better way to do that? Okay.
I think
anything else?
About wraps up the QA. You guys have our contact information on the screen. Feel free, if you don't feel comfortable posting a comment here, or you want to reach out and learn more, you have Mike and I's contact information there, as well as the QR codes and links to our website resources.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for attending. Thanks, Bryan. Great job.
Thanks, you, Mike and Bryan. And thank all of you for participating in the webinar. We hope you found the information informative and valuable. If we didn't get to your question, or you have more questions, please feel free, like Mike and Bryan said, to reach out to us via email, and we will get back to you. And stay tuned. We just might use your question in an upcoming podcast or a blog post. With that, we'll sign off. Keep an eye on your inbox for a recording of today's session and some additional resources. Thanks again, and have a pleasant rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.